You've seen him all over the Daily Show. You've seen him on YouTube. I want y'all to put your hands together, put your hands together, put your hands together. Give it up for Josh Johnson.
My most recent obsession is this court case, this lawsuit against Cardi B. All right. If you're not familiar with Cardi B, Cardi B is a rapper, and she is also a national treasure. Cardi B is incredible, and this case is pretty wild. Basically, what is being alleged in this case is that Cardi B assaulted a security guard. It's alleged that Cardi B assaulted the security guard, and you hear both stories throughout the case. The security guard's story is that she was at work, securing the building. And then Cardi B walks in, and then she's like, "Oh, Cardi B." And Cardi B didn't seem to like that she was approached, that Cardi B was like, "What are you doing right now? Why are you in my face?" And that Cardi B got nasty with her very quickly. And so they were in the elevator together, and she said that she followed Cardi B out of the elevator to clear up any confusion. I don't know if it was to apologize or anything, but she admits that she did follow Cardi B into the elevator and out of the elevator. And then she said Cardi B really lost it and started cursing at her and everything, and then started swinging on her and stuff, and that she got a little nick on her cheek from Cardi B scratching her face, right? And then the receptionist and the doctor that Cardi B was there to see, because Cardi B was in the building for a doctor's appointment, that they broke up the fight, and then everybody went about their way. But because of this assault, because of this nick on her face, she is suing Cardi B for about $24 million. I'll tell you right now, for $24 million, Cardi B could cut up my whole leg, okay? If Cardi B chopped up my leg and gave it back to me in a bucket, I would be like, "You'll be hearing from my lawyer." $24 million. That's crazy. So then, Cardi B's account of things is that she was going to the doctor. At the time, she was pregnant. She didn't want anybody to know she was pregnant. She didn't tell anybody, and she didn't even tell her security guard where she was going that day, her personal security, because she was just trying to keep this whole thing private, right? And even the doctor's office had blocked out time just to make sure they didn't have other clients coming in back and forth, and Cardi B was going to be the last appointment of the day, right? So Cardi B shows up to the building, and then immediately she hears Cardi B. And so already that's not ideal, right? Like that could happen at any time. Cardi B is very famous. But then she is getting in the elevator, and then she notices the person who screamed Cardi B got in the elevator with her and has a phone in her face. And so she goes, "What are you doing? Aren't you security?" Because she had security on her. And then she's talking to her while she's in the elevator, and then she exits the elevator, and she says she can still feel this person behind her. So then she turns around, she's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you recording me? You gotta get out of my face. I'm trying to go to the doctor." And then that's when the person who was recording her, the security guard, got real angry and was like, "I could do what I want. It's my phone. This is my building," which is a misunderstanding of what security is. If that really was said, oof. I've never met a security guard who thought they were clocking in to own the building for a little while. But then they got into what Cardi B says was only a verbal altercation. There was the receptionist and the doctor that came into, I guess, the hallway to break things up. But she said, I didn't touch her, she didn't touch me, so I didn't really think of it again, you know? Because if you don't know Cardi B, you should at least know that she's used to verbal altercations. I'm sure they don't stick with her. She was on Love and Hip Hop. And so then she just sort of goes about her life, and then she gets hit with this $24 million lawsuit. This whole thing, to me, just my opinion, but this whole thing feels like when that dude tried to sue Gwyneth Paltrow for millions. Remember that dude, Gwyneth Paltrow, if you weren't familiar with this, basically Gwyneth Paltrow went skiing one time, and then this other dude went skiing, and I don't know exactly how it went down, but I guess they bumped into each other at some point, and then the guy got up and he was like, wow, you're Gwyneth Paltrow. Oh, I'm ruined. No, because this is the thing. Coming after Cardi B seems like kind of easy in a lawsuit like this, just because she was on shows like Love and Hip Hop, and in Love and Hip Hop there's a lot of this. In Love and Hip Hop, whether you're watching Atlanta, Hollywood, New York, there's a lot of almost fights. You know what I mean? Usually it is stirred up by the producers. They get everybody nice and drunk, and then they're like, hey, you won't believe what she said. And then they always believe what she said. And so, you know, Cardi B's been known to pretty much never back down. In fact, there was this old case. I don't think anything ever came to it in like a court sense, but Cardi B was doing I think it was a festival, could have been a concert, and somebody threw something on stage. You know, somebody threw like a water bottle. And this has happened a lot in like the past. I don't know, people lost their minds through COVID and everything, and now people sometimes even film themselves throwing something on stage. I don't know if it's like to get a reaction out of the performer, and every performer has a different reaction to it. There are some people who, as soon as something gets thrown, they walk off stage, show's over, and they don't even try to continue. There are some people that try to dodge it, act like it didn't happen. There are some people that try to dodge it and then try to find the person who did it and get security to kick them out and everything. Well, basically there was a time where someone threw a water bottle at Cardi B, and I believe she dodged it, but she must have seen who did it, because she immediately threw the microphone at them. They probably thought Cardi B was gonna be some easy pickings. They were like, I'll throw my water bottle now. She's clearly unarmed. And can I just say, throwing a microphone at somebody is one of the funniest projectiles to throw. Because it's the only one where you get to hear their reaction to something being thrown at them in real time. Imagine Cardi B throw a microphone right back at them, and they're like, oh, is that a... Last thing the crowd hears before the show ends is, whoa, watch out! Even better if they turned around, they threw the water bottle, they're like, I think I got it! And so, well, they had this court case, and I don't know. Cardi B better than me. If I were me, I'd be losing my mind right now. $24 million for... that's what she's alleged. Like, the security guard is alleging $24 million. I don't even think I got $24 million worth of head. I think even if I was in a horrific accident, I'd probably only get like 10, maybe. And that's with half the head missing. $24 million just feels insane. And so, they go to court, and Cardi B's got a lawyer, security guards got a lawyer, and security guard's lawyer does seem bad at this. I don't know the law. I'm not a lawyer. I don't even know some of the stuff they're saying. When they get into like the real nitty gritty, like the weedsiness of the law, I don't know what's happening, right? All I know from all my hours of watching Law and Order is that if you're a lawyer and you're talking in court, you're talking, right? And then the other side keeps saying objection, and then the judge keeps saying sustain, you're not exactly doing well. And that's what's been happening this entire trial. The judge basically sustaining the whole thing. Like, this lawyer for the security guard keep withdrawing his own questions mid-question because he can feel a sustain coming. And like some of the questions don't have anything to do with anything. It's one thing if you're badgering the witness or you're really trying to like rile them up and get them to admit something, you try and catch them in a lie or something like that. It doesn't even feel like that's what's happening. This dude will just be asking questions that have nothing to do with anything or the case. It feels like he's just a Cardi B fan. The amount of times that Cardi B's lawyers have had to say objection, relevance is astounding. He's asking her all sorts of questions. At one point, though, he gets back on track and he asks Cardi B, you're saying that you felt threatened by my client. The security guard says, client, you saying you feel threatened by my client. I'm wondering why you feel so threatened. What was the issue? What was the issue? And then Cardi B says, I was pregnant and she's coming at me. I think she wants to beat me up and I'm pregnant. Hello? Hello? And then he goes, hello, hello. Hello, I'm here. And that's when it occurred to me that maybe what's happening is that this security guard's lawyer, maybe, just throwing it out there, potentially has never met a black person. I think if you've never met a black person in your life, and your first black person is Cardi B, that's a bit of a crash course. That would be like if I never met a white person in my life. Never met a white person, never talked to a white person, didn't even see one in a movie. Never met a white person. Then my first white person ever was Bill Nye the Science Guy. I think I might be walking away with some incorrect assumptions about white people. I think I go back home and tell all my friends and family, oh yeah, white people, they love space. No, they got a bunch of facts about turtles ready at the hip. Oh, and they love bow ties. Can't stop them from wearing a bow tie. The only time I've seen something like this exact moment, this type of thing, this like misunderstanding in that way, was on a TV show called To Catch a Predator. Okay. I don't know if you remember To Catch a Predator, but in case you never watched it, this was some insane reality TV. Basically, To Catch a Predator, they did just that. They would lure and then trap predators online who thought they were talking to underage kids, right? And they would have all these long conversations with them, and then they try to meet up with them. But when they tried to meet up with them, they would go to like the Sting house, right? And at this house, they would show up thinking they're meeting this underage person. Turns out they're meeting Chris Hansen. If you don't know Chris Hansen, you don't know Dateline. All you need to know about Chris Hansen was he was the To Catch a Predator. Oh, you would hate to see Chris Hansen coming if you were a predator. And so they would lure these predators to this house. And then especially season 1 was like no other thing. Season 1, when people didn't know what was happening, that was some of the wildest television I've ever seen. Because they didn't know who Chris Hansen was, all of them. Some of them did, right? But most of them did not. And so they'd show up to this house thinking that they're going to meet this underage kid. And they might even call out a name or something. Then Chris Hansen would walk in. Chris Hansen walk in holding some papers and everything. Now, because they don't know who Chris Hansen is, they think maybe this is the person's dad or something. So they immediately, they feel caught, but they don't know how caught they are. Right? So then Chris Hansen would walk in and be like, "Hi, how's it going?" And then he'd tell them to sit down, and they always sat down. Chris Hansen would sit them down, and then he'd ask them what they were doing here. And they'd try to come up with some sort of lie on the fly or something. And then he would ask them how they know this underage kid. And they'd try to come up with some lie on the fly, something like that. And then Chris Hansen would be like, "Oh, that's interesting because I have the transcripts of your conversation." And no matter what color they were, you watched the color leave their face. And then Chris Hansen would ask them what they meant by certain things in the transcript of the messages and stuff, and these people would just sink. They were just terrified, devastated, right? And then Chris Hansen would be like, "Okay, all right, you've answered all my questions. You can go." And even the predator would be like, "What? Really?" Like, yeah, you can go. You can go. And they'd be like, "Oh, okay. I mean, I thought my life was ruined or something. All right." And then they would get ready to walk out. And when they walked out, they were immediately tackled by the local police department.
And not just tackled, like properly football tackled. This would have been unnecessary roughness in the NFL. This is the only time nobody's gonna take you to task over police brutality. You know what I mean? Because the police, to their credit, they would announce themselves and say, "Get on the ground." They were just saying, "Get on the ground," when they were already airborne. Police would be in the air, legs up, "Get on the ground." It's like, you know your shoulder about to be in his neck. They would tackle him and they cuff him up and then they throw him in the car and they take him to jail. And then in jail, they would go to the interrogation room and they'd have to answer all of Chris Hansen's questions all over again. I guess him asking was just practice. And there was this one time where this guy comes in, and I don't remember what season it was, but this guy had a very interesting aesthetic. Like he was white, but he had a very like Vanilla Ice vibe to him. You know what I mean? And so he walked in, but when he walked in, he was like. Chris Hansen walked in, and then when Chris Hansen walked in and told him to sit down, he was like, "I." And then Chris Hansen does the thing that he does, asks him why he's there, asks him why he's been talking to this underage kid and everything. And then a thing I forgot to mention before that also happened in all the episodes was when Chris Hansen finally announced himself, where he was like, "I'm Chris Hansen with NBC's To Catch a Predator." Cameras would come out from all these different rooms, right? And it was always, without fail, too many cameras. It was always a number of cameras where I'm like, there's no way all those cameras on. There would be people with cameras in the hallway because they couldn't get in the kitchen, just lifting the camera up. Be way too many cameras. And so then the cameras roll in once Chris Hansen announces himself, and then this guy sitting there pulls down his cap a little bit and says to Chris Hansen and all of the cameramen, "I'm not really trying to be on TV, you feel me?" Repeats it. "I'm not really trying to be on TV, you feel me? You feel me? You feel me?" And Chris Hansen, without missing a beat, this man says, "I'm not really trying to be on TV, you feel me?" And Chris Hansen says, "Yes, we are filming." And I haven't seen such a misunderstanding until the security guard's lawyer says to Cardi B, hello? Yeah, I'm here. That man lucky. That man lucky. Cardi B at no point in her testimony hit him with a like that. That would have broken his brain. That would have ruined his life. He would have bent his knees. Oh! Everybody get out! What's happening? No. Because once again, this dude is wild. This dude is asking her questions about things that have nothing to do with anything. At one point, I think he's really in his head. He's having his like Perry Mason runaway jury moment. Like he's doing something right out of Law and Order in his head because he gets his planted stance. He starts going in on Cardi B and he says, today versus yesterday, all right? Yesterday, you had short black hair. Today, it's long blonde hair. 2 days ago, it was long black hair. Which is it? I don't know why he thought he had her. That was incredible. I don't know what I think he expected Cardi B to be like, I don't know. Oh no. What's happening? I thought he probably had some follow-up questions ready. It's like, if you're changing your hair, how do we know when you're not changing your story? All right? Miss Cardamom Basil. If that is your real name. And Cardi B just laughed it off. She was like, they're wigs. Like, what do you want me to do? And then, he gets into the stuff that's more relevant to the case, and he's trying to grill her back and forth with question after question after question. And he finally gets to this point where he's like, why did you feel threatened? She says the pregnancy thing and everything. But he's like, you said yourself that my client is about your height. Why would you be intimidated by her? And then Cardi B goes, yeah, I mean, she's a little bit taller than me, but she's bigger than me and everything. And I don't know what she wants to do. Now it seems like this person wants to beat me up. I don't know. Like, I don't know if they went from wanting a picture to beat me up or just wanted to beat me up and record. I don't know. I don't know what's happening, right? And so then this guy goes, why are you so intimidated by it? You're saying that she's bigger than you. What makes you say that? And then Cardi B goes, like, do I have to say it? No? And then he's like, are you calling my client fat? Are you calling my client fat? All right? Did you call her fat that day? In fact, you called her fat that day, didn't you? And then Cardi B is like, no, I was only calling her the B word. Like, it was really just that. I didn't really have time for anything else, you know? Sort of said that over and over again. Didn't really get to work in any other details. And this lawyer, I don't know, like even it's like now what we're getting into is stuff that I guess isn't nice, but I don't know how it helps his case, because then he just keeps egging it on. He's like, but you said that and you said other things, didn't you? You said other things. And then Cardi B, to her credit, it starts admitting everything that she said, right? She starts just repeating verbatim in court. She just cursing in court openly, just non-stop cursing in court, right? And he's like, is that what you said? Say exactly what you said. I mean, she's right here, right now. Say it again. Say it to her face. Say it again. And then even Cardi B is like, what is happening? Like, you want me to curse her out again? Like, is this one like a freebie or something? Like, I can't tell what's happening. No, it's like, no, you were so threatened. You were so completely threatened by my client. You know, what makes you so threatened? And then she's like, well, at the time I was pregnant and I was 130 pounds. All right. And then she was like twice my size. You know what I mean? And then once again, he gets on the same thing. He's like, are you calling my client fat? And she's like, no, I'm not saying. She just, you know. No, what? I don't know. What are you trying to say? Say it. Say what you want to say. There's no harm here. Say it. She's security heavy. That's so much worse. And this man keeps going. He's like, what do you mean security heavy? What are you trying to say? She's security heavy. What does that even mean? And Cardi B is like, you know, she built like she protect buildings. If it were me and I was Cardi B, I'd probably be sitting there furious. Cardi B better than me, you know? I'd probably be sitting there so angry. I'm just trying to live my life. I was trying to go to the doctor privately. My business is always out there. People get paid to get up in my business and everything. And I'm just trying to have a quiet moment. I'm not feeling well. I believe was her first child and everything. No one knows that she's pregnant. And then this whole thing blows up, and then she gets sued for $24 million. You know, she's better than me. I'd be sitting there furious at that lawyer. And if I was a security guard sitting there watching this happen, I'd be furious at that lawyer. What are you doing? You just getting me roasted in open court. This doesn't feel like it's getting me any closer to $24 million. Oh. Because I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm better than anybody, okay? If times get tough, if things get rough for me, I run into George Clooney. It's just me and George Clooney in the hallway. I know I haven't been able to pay my rent or anything. Is his word against mine? I'm gonna see George Clooney. I'm gonna put my hand on the ground. I'm just gonna. Look at what George Clooney did to me. Why would Ocean's 11's George Clooney do this? I thought he was a good man. I can't believe that Ocean 12's own George Clooney would step on my hand like this. What's that you say? He still owns the tequila company? Oh no. Who would have thought Ocean's 13, George Clooney, would be capable of something like this? I thought he'd be president one day. Nah, easily. Easily. It doesn't have to be George Clooney. I don't even need, like, A-list. I really don't. If I see Neil deGrasse Tyson, times are tough, I run into Neil deGrasse Tyson, I'm throwing a bowling ball straight in the air and catching it with my head. I was like, oh no! I can't believe Neil deGrasse Tyson did one of Newton's laws of motion to me. I think it was the first one. No. Doesn't have any popular person will do, you know? If I see William H. Macy, I'm gonna run into a wall like that dude from the show Fargo. I'm gonna run right into. If I ever meet William H. Macy, he better pray we outside.
Because if she's trying to get money out of Cardi B, you know, this is not the way. She over here admitting that she only got nicked. Just a little. That quick. That. And she said that she had to have 2 plastic surgeries.
Even brought the plastic surgeon to court, and the plastic surgeon came into court with a picture, right? Now, the plastic surgeon, this is also why I feel like this case is bogus, because she doesn't have a picture of the scratch from the day that it happened. Her plastic surgeon had to come in and do a before and after picture, and honestly, I don't know if that dude, the plastic surgeon, I don't see what he did. Like, it's... Even when they tried to show the cut, like the little scar that Cardi B supposedly gave her, maybe they didn't zoom in enough. Like, I don't know but they had the little line pointing straight to it, and I'm squinting. It doesn't even look like Cardi B did $24 of damage.
Oh, you try and get money out of Cardi B. This is not the way to do it. All you got to do is make sure y'all are still alone. The other problem, and the reason this whole case feels fishy, is because her lawyers, and I suppose even her, didn't want the receptionist or the doctor that broke them up testifying. That seems suspicious. If I got $24 billion worth of damage done to me, I'd call everybody who was within earshot. You know what I mean? Oh, you heard me. You remember? I was like, oh no, $24 million just fell out of my face, right? So the fact that her lawyers didn't want those people testifying seems fishy. And then you kind of understand why. I don't know if she was a fully surprise witness or anything, but I know they were trying to block it for a long time. And so the receptionist finally sits down on the stand and testifies, right? And the security guard's lawyer is over here asking just all the relevant questions, right? And some of the questions are getting objected to and then sustained because they're a little leading. You know what I mean? Like he asked a question about how wasn't it my client's job to see fit who should and should not be in the building? And then obviously Cardi B's lawyers objected, because how is the receptionist for one office building in this entire building supposed to know all the ins and outs of the security guard's job, right? And they get to this moment where the receptionist comes out because she says that she heard a commotion, and she gets out there and Cardi B is up against a wall like this, like back up against the wall, and security guard is yelling in her face, right? And so then she, immediately upset by what she's seeing, gets in between the two of them and is breaking it up and tells the security guard, I don't know what's going on here, but you need to go back to your post. This is very unprofessional, everything. And everybody's screaming just so everybody can be heard, right? And the lawyer gets excited. He's like, and so do you think that this could be the moment that Cardi B scratched my client's face? And then the receptionist goes, actually, I'm really the only one that got hit out of the both of them. Like, you know, you try to be a good Samaritan, but... And not only does she say that she's like the only one that got hit between them, but she got a scratch on her face, a scratch that bled, and a scratch on her face that bled that came from the security guard. You could tell the lawyer's out here panicking. He's... Whoops. Okay. All right. And so then he starts, in my opinion at least, sort of like badgering her a little bit with questions to try to like double back from the fact that now it looks like the only person that may have assaulted someone is his client. And so he then says, he's like, yes, but you also weren't there the entire time, so you didn't witness the entire altercation. Maybe Cardi B spit on my client before you got there. Maybe she scratched her face before you got there, but you got there and you broke it up and you say that you didn't see anything. But maybe something happened before you got there. You don't know. You don't know. And then the receptionist was like, yeah, I guess I didn't know what it was like to be there till I was there. Yes, I suppose. You got me there. Because it's not just the scratch, I should point out. The scratch is the main thing, but the security guard is also, to my knowledge at least, alleging that Cardi B got her fired as well. You know? And then they had the doctor testify. And I won't say that the security guard's lawyers tried to poison the jury, because they were pushing a narrative the entire time. And the narrative was that obviously the receptionist and the doctor would back Cardi B because she was a client of theirs, a patient. So it benefits them to back up her story, right? And they even say as much while the two people are on the stand, you know? But then the receptionist says, no, actually, the security guard hit me up and said we should sue Cardi B. And I was like, nah, because you started it. Which is also not great for a security guard's lawyer. He's over here, okay, well, look, nothing further. And then they had the doctor testify. Now, the doctor was the last of the scene, so by the time he comes out, the receptionist is getting in between Cardi B and the security guard. So he said he was also very upset about what was happening, you know, and he was trying to make sure this thing got broken up. Now, the doctor said, look, what I saw wasn't just unprofessional, it was very concerning to me. And I got out there, and the only thing I could think to do was try to match the body language of the security guards. I don't even know what that means, but I imagine it means he ran up out there, he saw three people arguing, and he was like, hey! Cut that out! Because by his own account, it's not like he the one pulling people from people or anything. Receptionist has already broken it up and taken some punishment, and so... And then took Cardi B in, they had their appointment and everything, and then he was so disturbed by what happened and what he saw that he reached out to Superior for the security guard, and, you know, said that soon after that she was taken downstairs during a shift and like let go, right? And that also doesn't look great her case because she alleges that Cardi B got her fired, and now this dude in open court was like, no, it was me. It was me. It was me 100%. And I guess I'm just coming from a place of like, if you really wanted to sue Cardi B for $24 million, you don't wait until there's other people involved that are all going to have different accounts of what happened. If you wanted to sue Cardi B for $24 million, you just walk up to Cardi B before she gets in the elevator, say, hey, Cardi B, how you doing? And then throw yourself down some stairs. That's going to be the easiest way to do it, you know? Throw yourself down some stairs, all the while screaming out Cardi B singles for every step that you hit. You finally hit that last step, you're like, oh, why would top charting artist Cardi B do this? Oh, she's really about that life. These are bloody shoes.
Josh Johnson! Cool. How y'all doing? Everybody good? Sweet. I was having a conversation with my friends about how they missed before the pandemic, and I know by that they mean 2019, but I'll be honest, I miss random years. Like 2009 was fire. That was a great year. A lot of good video games came out there. It was even a better year politically. Like, be honest, don't you miss when Biden was just Obama's white friend? Like, wasn't that the shit? That was amazing. You know what I mean? Obama would say something inspiring, turn around, look at Joe, and Joe would be like, "Dah!" That's like all he did for 8 years. He just stood with finger guns ready, just nonstop. And now we did it. Biden's the president. Whew. I travel a lot. I go to a lot of the countries. And when they ask me what it's like for Biden to be the president, and I go to answer them, I sound like what I think a woman sounds like when she settles. You know what I mean? Because they'll ask me what it's like to have Biden as a president. I'm like, he aight, like, he trying, you know what I'm saying? Like, you give him his little applesauce, he go to work, you know? Just feel like I can't brag on my man, you know? Oh, fuck, I feel bad for Biden, because people forget. They asked Biden to run early, and at first he said no. Right? Early on, they asked him, and I'm quoting him. He was like, do you know how old I am? Do you know what I remember? No, I'm not gonna run. And then we were like, no, Joe, please, you need to run. You need to run for democracy. And then he ran, and then a day into him running, we were like, this motherfucker can't run. This is very upsetting. Did you know this? And then he won. The dude wins. And then everybody, anchors, pundits, us, everyone was like, this motherfucker old as hell. It's like, he's like, that's what I said. This dude got gaslit into being president. And we have let him down every single day of his presidency. And by that, I mean we have let him fall every single day of his presidency. This man has fallen 5 times on camera, which means he falls every day. All right? You cannot convince me otherwise. If you do something in front of me 5 times on camera, that's what you do. All right? If somebody smoked crack in front of me 5 times on camera, I'd be like, that's crackhead right there. And he'll miss a day, all right? This dude, I don't even think they give the same tours of the White House anymore because Biden falls so much. They gotta skip whole rooms so you'd hear Biden in the other room going, oh, that would just be every day. This man has Secret Service and they let him fall every day. Biden doesn't even need Secret Service. He needs 3 dudes that work at Trader Joe's, all right? Because they're used to catching a pickle jar before it hits the ground. They're used to being like, I got it. You don't have to sweat it. I got it. It's insane. Secret Service let our president fall off a bike that wasn't moving. And I felt bad for him that day because you could tell he was feeling himself that day. Because he saw the media up ahead and then chose to ride up to them and then stopped his bike like a kid who just got a bike. Biden swerved on him when he stopped. He rolled up on the media. He was like, y'all got any questions? Fucking feeling himself. And now I don't know. I guess he just forgot he was standing up or something. But go back and watch the video. Secret Service on camera made the face we made when he fell. This man tipped over, then Secret Service on camera went, ooh. It's like, no, you're the ooh. Why'd you let that happen? It's fucking devastating. This is too much now. It's really, I don't know what to do anymore. I hate this shit so much. I don't even hate things. I'm a pretty laid back person, but I hate 2024. We're gonna get a rematch of the match we never wanted. Do you know what I mean? Isn't that fucking crazy? There are 330 million Americans, and somehow we keep landing on the same tube. That should have been dead a long time ago to run. One of them only eats McDonald's, and the other one should have died 2,000 years ago. And they're gonna have a fucking rematch. It's insane. You don't even get that in boxing. Biden versus Trump is the boxing equivalent of digging up Ali and making him fight Jake Paul. It's like, who wants to see this shit? Why does it keep happening? It makes me, and then people are the worst now. We used to be fucking chill. We used to all band together and be ignorant about similar shit. Like, I'm not trying to dress up America like it was a paradise before 2016 or anything, but genuinely, we used to just go out into the world together as Americans and be ignorant as fuck. You know what I mean? And now it's just, we're fighting all everything is something. That's gotta be exhausting. That's weird that everything, no matter what it is, Bud Light. If you are freaking out about Bud Light, you should be fucking drinking a Bud Light until you don't care about any of this shit. That's insane. It's weird. And people hate each other so much like it's a team. It's not a team. A team would be fucking interesting. You know what I mean? I watch Miami versus the Celtics. I'm like, I can get invested. You know what I mean? Republican, Democrat is the dumbest shit I've ever watched. People who just like fully identify as one of the part. What kind of loser just walks around all day just proclaiming what a Democrat they are? You know what I mean? What kind of fucking moron just walks through, well, as a conservative? It's like, just be a person. You were a person before you knew about any of this shit. Remember when you were a kid? That was dope. Kids have no politics whatsoever. Their politics are fucking cooties. You know what I mean? Be like, I think that bitch nasty. You know what I mean? Like, that's the most hateful rhetoric you'll get out of a kid. It's just like, something up. You know what I mean? It's so bad. Why is it this bad? And people get so mad that they get shit wrong. Look at the pandemic. We were the only country that politicized the pandemic. Every other country was just like, are you sick or are you not sick? And of course, then some other countries copied us because they have no personality and they're just like, I'm not saying we were the only country that did it, period, but we were the first to do it and we did it the biggest, you know? Like, other countries, it was just, are you sick or are you not sick? We were the only country that were like, wow, cuck. Didn't know you need daddy's jab in you. It's fucking insane. It's fucking wild. I don't know how to deal with people anymore. People got so mad during the pandemic about the vaccine that they switched it. They got it wrong. Have you noticed that? The vaccine is Trump's. Like, he gets credit for the vaccine. It was distributed while he was still president. He was the one that had the idea of streamlining it and trying to make them outbid each other to get a contract. That was all him. But everyone who takes the vaccine hates him too much to give him credit. and then his fans don't want it. How did we get here? That's literally so crazy. That would be like if Thomas Edison was such a polarizing figure that everyone who hated Thomas Edison was sitting in a fully lit living room at midnight being like, I just hate that he's a capitalist. Like, it just doesn't sit right with me. And then everyone who loved him was just sitting in the dark like, light is fucking gay, dog. Yo, I see during the day like the Lord intended, all right? Don't come at me with that weird shit, you know what I'm saying? You just want to see whenever you feel like seeing, that's not natural, all right? All right, that's not in the Bible, okay? No. It's too much now. We have to get a handle on ourselves. Some of it isn't even us. You realize that, right? A huge amount of the internet is just fucking bots. It's just bots that have some person behind them that wants something, so it interacts with you like a person to piss you off, to make you do something. That's a lot of the internet now. So sometimes you're just so pissed off and you're arguing with someone online. It's not even a real person. Like, really think about that. So many times it's not a real person, you know? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a public figure that pays $8 for a verification. Like sometimes it's a real person. But even then, you're not yelling at the person. You're probably yelling at the person that manages their account. None of this shit is real. None of this like hate. None of this like vitriol. None of it's coming from like a sincere place. There are a couple assholes. I'm not gonna act like assholes don't exist at all. I've met some. Met some on the street. There was a guy on the way here who said, "I love your shoes," and before I could say thank you, he was like, "Not." I was like, all right, that's just a demon out to spread hate. Okay. But a lot of it's not real. Just please remember how much of that shit is not real. Don't let it affect you. I'm trying to be on it less. I'm trying to just be on social. I'm starting to feel like the internet was a bad idea to begin with. Google's good. You should be able to look stuff up. But I'm just talking about like social. It's makes you feel bad about yourself, your life, where you're at. All this stuff makes you interact with people poorly. It makes you judge yourself, judge everybody all the time. And it ruins fun things. It ruins like good fun things. Like, we are just now kind of starting to overuse Karen. Karen started off great. Start off as like a white woman, see a bunch of black kids play in the park and be like, this is not their park. All right, let me make some calls, right? And if we had kept it at that, it'd be fine. But social, everybody talking, everybody jabbing, everybody arguing, quickly turned Karen into any woman with a gripe, with a short haircut. Because now you see the stories trending and you don't even know who to root for, you know? It'll be like, total Karen loses it on city councilman to get pothole fixed. Well, nobody likes potholes. And this is the particular manager you would want to talk to in this situation. Sounds like she played it by the book, I'm not gonna lie to you. Total fucking Karen loses it on American Airlines when she gets kicked off flight because they overbooked it. Well, that could happen to any one of us. So we should stand up for her. This is pretty bad. Total fucking Karen bitches out when she gets hit by drunk driver. It's like... All right, see how you took a fun thing and you made it bad? You know? And this is the thing, too. I get the world's not fair. It's not. No matter what you have and you don't have, there's someone that doesn't have what you have. All this going back and forth, you know? The way I sum up people is no matter who you are, everybody you meet, everybody, everyone is getting away with something and nobody is happy about it. That feels fair, right? So I'm not up here being like, oh, poor men or anything like that. I'm just saying it makes me sad that dick has like no market value. It's just a shame. Like, be honest. Truly, be honest. As a man, you've never been like, my dick gonna get me out of this one. It's never occurred to you ever. You know what I mean? You're never getting pulled over by the cops. You're like, I'm a flash officer, little dick, get right out of this ticket. Never in your life. Even in a relationship, you're not like, babe, you play your cards right, do the dishes, you might get a little dick later. Who talks like that? That's insane. You think back to the beginning of the pandemic, it was a terrifying time. A lot of people losing jobs, getting laid off left and right, business closing. My buddy lost his job. And so he started an OnlyFans, trying to get some supplemental income going. And over the course of his OnlyFans career, this nigga made $3. I'm pretty sure at $3 you gotta turn your dick in. You have to be like, ain't nobody want this, so. You all were really great. Thank you so much. I'm Josh Johnson. You have a great night.
This is America. Don't catch you slipping now.
Fargo, North Dakota. Make some noise for Josh Johnson!
I've had doctors that really just felt like they were piecing it together as we went. You know what I mean? Like, truly. Like, one time, I don't even know what it was. I had something on my leg that was, like, concerning me, right? And so I went to the doctor, and I'm telling him about it. I'm sitting in his office, going over it, going, like, when it happened, everything, how worried I am, because I've never seen anything like this before, and how I've just been, like, feeling, like, tired all the time, so I'm wondering if it has something to do with this. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, do you want to take a look at it? He's like, yeah, we'll get to it. And then he stands up, grabs, like, all the stuff, stethoscope, stuff that he, I guess he gonna listen to it. I don't know what the plan is. But then he's like, go ahead and stand up, and you can drop your you can drop your pants. And like, I'm like, why are you seem nervous? Like, it was just. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like we're buds. Like, I have to do this now. And we've talked about it thoroughly. Like, you know where the thing is, like upper thigh, right? And so then I like open my belt buckle, I unzip, I start dropping my pants, and maybe I did too fast for him because he was like, oh, pause. I was like, pause? Not a doctor. Say pause. Oh. Because it's tough and it's scary because we only know a medieval amount about how to keep ourselves alive. We think we're smarter because we have more access to information, but even with that access, some people don't want the information. There are people that are straight up, like I used to think from the bottom of my heart, oh, if people just knew, if you knew better, you'd do better. I used to like live by that mantra. And now I'm realizing, no, some people don't want to know. Some people would like to do exactly what they do now. Because to me, I go to a doctor because I'm like, you're a professional. The hope is that you know what's going to be going on. So I don't need to learn about what's going on while it's happening to me, because that's how you die slowly. You know what I mean? I don't want to be sitting on my deathbed like, I figured it out. And so you go to a doctor because doctor's supposed to know. But now there are people who will admit that they don't know, but they'll also be like, nah, he doesn't know either. And it's like, look, I'm not saying doctors know everything, but we as the general public, we have like a certain amount of knowledge that helps keep us alive. And the rest is other people that we've never met being like, don't eat the lettuce this week. There's E. coli everywhere. And without them, I wouldn't know that. I'd be hitting the lettuce hard. I'd be like, look at how healthy I am. I'm mid-salad right now.
You do your best. Everyone is doing their best. Don't think that I think people aren't doing their absolute best. Even when they don't do what I agree with, even when they don't do things that I think are like common sense, people are doing their best, you know? It's just sometimes someone's best shouldn't be here. Do you know what I mean? You could have all the good intentions in the world, but if your best is like subpar, I should probably get you out of there. Let you be a cheerleader. Because I've been through all manner of like medical things. Luckily, nothing so serious that it was like fundamentally life-threatening for long. I'm very thankful that I don't deal with like chronic pain or conditions that I know people in my life do that make them have to adjust plans, cancel plans, make them have to adjust their life, make them have to be thinking about this thing all the time. I luckily don't have to think about my body all the time, you know? But I know a lot of people that do. I know a lot of people that depend on those experts for things that if we were going off of my knowledge, most of this room would be dead. No? I don't claim to be an expert, but I feel like there's this weird place we've gotten to where it used to be knowing something was like a big deal. Oh, ask them, they know, right? And now questioning something is as big of a deal as knowing something. And I'm not saying questions are bad. I just think that at a certain point, we need to distinguish the people who only ever ask questions from the people who actually know things. Do you know what I mean? You should ask questions. I don't want anyone to blindly follow anyone. I'm just saying that when people say do your own research, some of them haven't researched. Research is boring. If you weren't bored during your research, if you just strung a marathon of documentaries on YouTube together, I bet you that wasn't research though. I'm not even saying everything you learned was wrong. I'm just saying like research usually takes time, takes years of your life, takes dedicated study and attention. Real research, knowing something, you have to give something to know something. It takes nothing to just pick things apart until you confuse everyone. Do you know what I mean? And so I said all that because I've made mistakes in my life. I didn't know the difference between the emergency room and urgent care. I wish that they give one of them a less immediate name. I didn't know they weren't interchangeable, all right? It's the emergency room and then it's urgent care. Well, I urgently need help for my emergency, so what should I do? Where does that leave us now? I'm at a fork in the road and whichever I pick sounds like they'll help me quickly. Turns out emergency rooms are for like life-threatening, immediate care. Urgent care is for when you got like a headache. Urgent care, look, and this is not to disparage anyone that works in any place. It's just that urgent care stories, I know people who work in urgent care, and I know people who work in emergency rooms, and the emergency room stories, I should have known to go to the emergency room if it was more serious, because the emergency stories are so much more horrific in nature than the urgent care stories. Like, the urgent care stories are like, yeah, this dude came in and he was filling out his paperwork, but his nose is bleeding the whole time. Kind of got all over the paper. And then he handed it back to me and I was like, ugh. Emergency room stories are like, there was a dude today that, and also anyone who's ever worked in an emergency room and then told me an emergency room story has a 1,000-yard stare. They're not talking to me. they might be talking to God. They might be asking God, why would you let me see something like that? I got into this business to help people. I really want to help and heal, and you show me the devil. I don't want to see that ever again. Because what they will tell me with that wide stare is like, yeah, this guy came in today and his leg was... And it's like, I don't know what that is. That blinking? Sometimes they will just blink in silence. I'm like, is it in the room right now? This guy came in today and his leg was in his chest. You sure this wasn't a dream? No. Like, I went to urgent care one time and genuinely was sicker than when I walked in. When I left, I walked into urgent care and I had an appointment, and which is odd because I thought you were supposed to be able to just run up in there, but. Get to urgent care, I have my appointment, and the person at the front, look, God bless them, truly. I know they were just doing their best, but they could not stop sneezing and coughing openly. And so I was like, oh, like I'm backing away from the... I'm like, yeah, so do you want me to just go right over there? Do you want me to just walk around you and go back there? He's like, oh, the doctor's not ready yet. I was like, you can go first, dog. Like, if you, I mean, you're already here and you here all day and like, I don't know, you're probably killing everybody, so... If you want to go, that's supposed to be the benefit of working here, right? That you are already here in case you need to be here. And he was like, oh, don't worry. Don't worry, it's not COVID. And I was like, that wasn't my concern at all. I wasn't wondering if it was COVID. I was wondering why it was happening right now. To you. Like, I want you to be well. That would be better for everybody in here because we all came sick, and if we all mix our sick together right now, I'm pretty sure we'll get a new thing, and I don't want that to happen. No, and then my man sent me back so the doctor could cough in my mouth. Everybody had it, whatever it was. Everybody had it. But now, when you go to the emergency room, let's say that's closer than urgent care, and you're like, hey, you know what, I'll just go right now. And then you get in there, and even if you have a terrible migraine, when you look around an emergency room, it does make you self-conscious about your sickness. The same way where you like go to the gym for the first time in 8 years and you looking around at all the people who are like already swole. When you get to an emergency room and you're not that sick and then you just see people holding bullet wounds closed, you're like, you can go before me if you want. Like, I'm... And so, it's all important stuff. It's hard for us to stay healthy because it's already hard for us to live. You have to do everything that it takes to like have a life, keep people alive if you've made people, and be healthy. And I don't know, maybe it's just the way that we work as a country, but we're so back and forth and 100% all the time. All gas, no brakes, all the time, always behind, fighting, trying to get back in black, fighting that red line, fighting that poverty line to the point where there are people who genuinely believe they don't have time. Oh, you could do this. This is the healthier thing to do. Oh, make some time for this. I don't have time, right? By the time I get home, I'm exhausted. I just want to sleep. Can I at least have sleep? And so it's tough. even when it comes to eating, even when it comes to like what we know to eat to be healthy, it changes. And sometimes it changes because we find out something. And then sometimes it changes because a company is like, actually, there's a lot of money in kale. You remember kale? You remember that thing that we used to put at the bottom of every salad bar? It used to be the floor of the salad bar. You would go to a Pizza Hut and there would be kale wrapped around the pizza. Not on the pizza, under the pizza. You just use kale as like foliage. And then one day somebody was like, hey, we growing all this kale. You ever taste some? You ever bite down into that kale? It's probably good for you. And then takes off, becomes a whole craze. I'm always blown away with food crazes of food that we've been eating. We've all been alive for a while now, but every year there will be some superfood that's a food we were already aware of. Remember when avocados had their day? Remember when avocado was like, no, your skin. And there's vitamins it's so good for you. Your skin. Do you want more skin? Your skin. It's so good for you. See, you have extra skin under your skin. You'll be so healthy. You remember coconut oil. There was a year where coconut oil could do no wrong. They were like, no, put it on your skin. Lather yourself up at night. You'll just be so moisturized. Put it on your skin. Put it in your hair. It'll get all the dirty stuff out of your hair. It'll clear out your pores in the hair and everything. Get the hair follicle all nice and juicy and stuff. Eat it. Cook with it. It's so good. It'll be good it'll fix your skin from the inside. It'll be delicious and it'll fill it. Ooh, it'll be like all of your organs have new skin. And then somebody else came out with a study that was like, oh, actually don't do any of that. Like it's actually gonna fully clog your pores. It's gonna clog the pores of your hair. And if you eat it, it's gonna be like a little too loose in your heart while your heart's trying to pump blood. I don't know what they said, but they turned on it in a day. And you would think that all this stuff is happening because we're finding out all these things. But what's really happening is all of these narratives are competing at the same time. There are people who have a vested interest in you eating as much meat as possible. And then there are people who have a vested interest in you eating no meat at all. And I don't even mean on a political front. I'm not even talking about environmentalists versus like vegans versus people who have money in Big Cow. I'm talking about genuinely there are people who believe, for whatever reasons they've come to, that they've concluded that they believe this thing is good for you, this thing is bad for you, and then they put it out into the world. And because we have the internet, you could look up anything, and anything is as good for you as it is bad for you. And that is scary when you know at a medieval amount to keep yourself alive. I'm not claiming to be smarter than anybody, and I try to listen to experts, and I try to do my quote-unquote own research. It's a lot of reading. It's pretty boring. That's why I feel like I'm doing the right thing. But it's still tough to know. I'm not coming down on people for not knowing. I think it's mostly that if someone went to all the trouble to know, maybe that should mean something. I say this because RFK Jr. is the head of Health and Human Services. And if you're not familiar with RFK Jr., he has a very specific sound very specific way of speaking and thinking. And he's on a real like health kick as a whole personality, all right? And it's unfortunate that so much of that is what feels like riddled with internet. I've never seen someone so interested in health and the science of health without just getting into the science of health. Do you know what I mean? It would be like me knowing every stat that there is to know about basketball. But then when someone rolled me a ball or even tossed me a ball, maybe I'm playing my first pickup game of basketball with all of this knowledge I supposedly have of the game. I know plays, I know players, I know stats, I know strategies. And then someone actually passes me the ball and I go, there are things that RFK Jr. has said and done. They don't just worry me. You know what I mean? They don't just like worry me. They actively go against, like, it's one thing if you have one theory. I let everybody be subversive about like one thing to me, because I'm like, all right, you might be right about this thing, who knows, let's investigate, right? When you have 90, nah, dog, this is bad. I don't even like repeating some of the things that he said, because it makes it, if I repeat it, I sound like I think it, because it takes me so long to explain what he thought that I sound like I think it too, and I would rather not. You know, during his confirmation hearing, he said a lot of things that didn't quite fall in line with what he had been saying before he was trying to get confirmed, you know? So he said a lot of the right things to go ahead and get confirmed. And look, he was probably gonna get confirmed no matter what. You know, there was a majority that was gonna push him through, most likely, no matter what he said. And then he gets in, and this is the most troubling thing to me about like RFK Jr. is that there are moments where he'll say something that is like, not only like not crazy, it's like the thing that everyone was hoping somebody would say. And then he'll quickly follow it up with a thing that no one has ever said. And you're like, oh, you had us for like a half second. You know, like, because RFK Jr. has talked about like trying to remove all the dyes out of the foods, like out of the candies and out of the like crackers, all the stuff like that, out of the chips. It's like, that's actually a good thing. That would be good. Everyone else already removed it. Like, these companies may be international, but when you go to Europe, it's a different chip. That's not, they don't, and that's specifically because Europe was like, we don't do that to our people. So you should, if you want to be here, you can change it, but you have to change it. You can't just be whatever you want to be, right? And so when RFK Jr. says, like, I'm trying to get all these additives out of the food, all these dyes, all these things, it's like, oh, wow, that's great. That I like that. And then he's like, and we need a registry for autism. And you're like, oh! In what world? What are you doing? It's so deeply frustrating. You know? Because it's like, that the whole thing, the whole thing that is that is frustrating about it is that it is someone who, even in the face of experts, would rather not challenge those experts and prove them wrong to their face, just more talk to people who
honestly and earnestly are trying to find out and don't know and lead them. You don't see him engaging in like real debate with a doctor who's made the thing their life, who's done the true research, and who's done it over time. I'm not saying science and doctors can never be wrong. I'm saying those are the people you should be having these spats with, instead of going on podcasts and convincing people who also didn't do the thing. They didn't make that their life's work, and then leading them down a path where we're not really sure how bad it could get. And this is in the midst of Doge and other things cutting jobs for like the National Health Institutes, you know, cutting jobs at the FDA, cutting jobs in all these places where we need these things. In fact, there have been rollbacks on things that help us prevent things in the future, on research for the future of what might be going on somewhere else, is what scientists are thinking about all the time, when this thing might happen, right? And if you roll back on that, you won't see the effect right away. You may not even see it for a long time. But then when we are behind, because we used to be the leader, and we're quickly losing our first place position in being who the world looks to figure out new illnesses, to figure out, even with old ones, we can still figure out vaccines. We can still figure out all of these different aspects of how to keep people healthy and alive. And when you roll them back in ways that seem like they don't matter, or at least you don't want to give attention to, the effects we won't know the widespread effect of it. You know, and I'm worried because RFK Jr. got in under this whole like make America healthy again attitude. This is sort of a mantra, right? And I understand that he's like a 70-year-old guy that bench presses. But I would like to, if I can, be healthier than RFK Jr. because he doesn't seem healthy. I haven't seen his blood work. I'm not saying I don't know, but he doesn't seem healthy because he does a lot of stuff that doesn't seem to lead to health. Long before he was ever confirmed for the head of Health and Human Services, there was a picture of RFK Jr., one of many, but there was a particular picture of RFK Jr. walking out of an airplane bathroom, barefoot. And when I saw it, I rebuked the picture. I was like, that will not be in my life. No, thank you. I'm not a doctor. I'm not even a scientist. But please wear some form of footwear into the airplane bathroom. You had shoes when you got on the plane. What happened? What happened between the seat and the bathroom that you were like, I gotta get these off? I'm too restrained. This man went swimming in a DC creek that's been known for like, I'm pretty sure decades, that place is nasty. It's so okay. It's so nasty that the place is nasty. It's so nasty that they have a sign saying, we nasty. Don't swim here, is nasty. And sure, it's like this flowing creek and everything, but it's been known for a long time that sewage leaks into that creek. And he hopped in with the same feet that he walked out of that airplane bathroom with. Hopped in feet first, probably didn't even dip his toe in, was like, yeah! Swimming in the creek with his grandchildren, I'm pretty sure. And his dog. You're the head of Health and Human Services. do us the service of being a healthy human. Like this is so crazy that we're watching you. It would be like watching the Secretary of Defense play Russian roulette. It's like, so you're not gonna be here long then. Why would you do that? Don't do that. We want you to be alive. It's so frustrating. Man has a congressional hearing where they're asking him about his belief. They're asking him about things that he said since he's been confirmed and stuff. And this man basically says, don't take medical advice from me. There's a part of me that almost respects that. There's a part of me that almost respects that. Let me tell you why. Because I have been, an hourly worker several times in my life. I've had lots of odd jobs that pay by the hour. I've had lots of I won't call them corporate, but just established corporation jobs that pay, by the hour. And the problem with hourly work, whether you're talking about me or anyone I've ever interacted with, especially from a customer service perspective, the problem with hourly work is I'm not sure if we're meeting at the hour you care about this job. I may have caught you at a bad time at work. There's 4 types of hourly workers. There are the hourly workers who are they start off great, especially when we're talking customer service. You start off great. I was here. You start off great. You clock in, you got a good attitude, you're ready to go. Nothing's happened yet. And then, a few hours into dealing with the public, you have been beat down to a place of which you're not sure you can recover. And you're thinking about how this is Monday. So, my life, Then there's an hourly worker that really starts to perk up the last 2 hours of shift. They're almost home. They're almost out of here. They're smiling at you because they almost don't have to see you. We're almost through with each other. I'm so close. Let's bring it home strong. Then there's the hourly worker that genuinely loves their job. Then there's the hourly worker who hates their job so much that from clock in to clock out, they are here to make sure that you hate their job too. Right? And at different points in my life, I've been a couple of these different workers. Sometimes I had a job where I could clock in and then I was good attitude, good everything. And then people just, whether they're impatient or they're rude or they're nasty, they just beat you down and you try to not let the last interaction affect the next interaction. But after a while, you just get to the point where you just got that face, that almost like a 1,000-yard stare. And you're trying to do your job, but you just want to be and his leg was in his chest. And I've also been that person that's had that job that I'm I can't wait to quit this job. I can't wait to get out of here. And you know what? The closest thing to quitting this job is clocking out of this job. I love clocking out so much. Sometimes I do it twice. I love clocking out. It's my favorite thing. Sometimes I actually worked a couple different jobs where back in the day you actually had the timesheet that did the and then shot the paper back up, and that was extra fun. I would watch it. I'd watch it in slow motion in my mind. I'd be like, yep, zip, zip, and zip, zip, and look at you marked and ready to go. I'm out of here. I'm leaving forever, just tonight, but forever. And then, admittedly, I did have jobs that I really loved. I really enjoyed clocking in and having a great time with my coworkers, and I enjoyed the job that I was doing. And even if it was something to do with the public, you have your jerks once in a while, but for the most part, it was phenomenal. And I got great experiences out of it, and I'd clock out, I'd go home, I'd start again the next day. And then I had jobs where I was like, oh, okay. I don't want anybody to hate their life, but they're gonna know I hate mine.
And there's something in the spirit of an hourly worker that's in the middle of doing their job that's like, oh, don't do what I do. That is what I heard at that hearing. Guys, don't follow my advice. I don't know. I be saying stuff. No. No, it's tough because it's hard to know that everyone has different levels of access and different levels of knowledge on how to keep ourselves healthy. And when you have things getting rolled back, like EPA regulations, FDA regulations, when you have people looking out less and less for the quality of drinking water, when you have people looking out less and less for what the next potential virus might be, you get yourself into some real trouble. And then they kick it back to us. They kick it back to us every time. They roll that thing back. They fire those people. Those people who, I'm not going to say every single person loved their job, but they roll things back to the point where now more people have more burden on them and less support to try to get us to where we need to be, at least on a basic level of health. And they're like, but it's up to you. You know, Dr. Oz came on and he was like, the best way to be healthy is to be healthy. And I was like, oh, do you have financial advice too? Because that's incredibly solid right there. The best way to not need these services is to not need these services. And it's like, okay, but you gotta remember, you're dealing with people who have varying levels of knowledge around what is and isn't healthy. My hometown has a bit of a meth problem. And a real conversation that I overheard at a bus stop was, no, they getting on to me and on to me and on to me because I'm smoking meth. But it's not like it's crystal meth. And not only me as a bystander, but the person they were talking to seemed to also be on meth. Said, what do you mean it's not crystal meth? And he goes, it's regular meth. And so then the other person on meth was like, no, it's all meth. Crystal's not the deluxe. It's not like Crystal Pepsi, you know what I mean? It's all generally meth. There's not a diet meth. Meth is the diet meth. I haven't eaten in some time. Because we are a huge country. And it's when you travel, you realize how big this country really is. And it's a lot of people to try to keep healthy, try to make healthy, you know? And so you want people of the absolute highest caliber, knowledge and character to be in positions that affect your health. And I just don't think RFK Jr. is that, you know? And there's all these things. There's plenty of things that you can watch and plenty of breakdowns people have done on his ideas and his theories about health and everything, and the things that he says that fall into the lane of conspiracy and the things that he says that fall into the lane of like homeopathic cures and stuff. And I'm just saying there's a certain way that you talk about people that lets me know what you think about people, how you feel about people, right? And while maybe from his perspective seeming
compassionate or seeming understanding, the way I've heard him talk about people, especially people with autism, but people with any sort of different ability or way of life, and talk about it in terms that just seem so like stark and dismissive of the individual themselves in these broad brushstrokes, and then try to later come back and be like, oh, I was only talking about a quarter of, as if that's better. It makes me feel like this is not the individual that should be in that position. And that's not just because he swims in sewage. It's because like actual sewage is spilling out of his mouth every time he talks. But yeah, maybe he can get the food additives out. I don't know. Like this. That's just, I don't know. That's what's so frustrating to me about RFK Jr. It's like half of what people applaud him for even saying we should do or that he's trying to do is just a bunch of stuff Michelle Obama was trying to do. Like, remember when Michelle Obama was like, how about a carrot? You remember that? Remember when Michelle Obama was like, just try an apple. And people were like, why do you hate America? No, it's super frustrating. I get frustrated all the time. I can't imagine if you are, a parent of a child with autism and you're listening to RFK Jr. talk, or if you're someone who's an actual health specialist and you're listening to RFK Jr. talk, or if you are the person who, in my opinion, deserves to be the angriest, Michelle Obama, listening to RFK Jr. talk. She probably's pointing at the TV doing the DiCaprio meme. Like, that's what I just want you to try an apple. That's my thing. That's really where we screwed up, We do all this stuff when it comes to healthcare to make it inaccessible, right? So there's all these things that you have these premiums, you have these deductibles, you have all these different things that we understand are to keep us away from the healthcare. But then when it comes to the vaccines, when it comes to the treatments, I think we're too eager to give it to people. We should actually hold it back and make it seem like, I don't know. I don't know, it's all the way over here. Do you really want to come over here and get it? Like, I don't know. Because I had a conversation with a friend that enlightened me a little bit in kind of that route of thinking. He was a new parent, and he was like, look, I'm not a doctor. I recognize that I don't know the science or anything, but I'm seeing all this stuff on social and on TV about giving my kids vaccines, but I'm also talking to my doctor who's telling me to give my kids vaccines, and he's like, I don't know what to do, and I'm really scared about what I should do, right? And I was like, okay, I hear what you're saying. And then he said, I just feel horrible if I gave my kid something and it made them sick or sicker. And I was like, okay, I understand what you're saying. And then I asked him, I was like, let's just go back in time for a second and just pretend that the vaccine that the doctor's trying to give you just doesn't even exist. And your kid was sick. Would you want it then? Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that as some sort of got you. I'm saying that when we're sick, we go to the hospital. When you're sick or someone you love is sick, you want a doctor immediately. All of this
all this like just asking questions, going back and forth, trying to dunk on doctors, trying to dunk on experts, it's always done from a place of like actually being okay right now. When you're actually in a hospital bed, you're like, do whatever. I'm coughing up blood. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that to say that I don't have empathy for people who have questions or people who are unsure, people who are scared. That's where I think a lot of like humanity gets lost in the conversation. When some people are just like, I don't know what to do. I'm genuinely afraid of what I should do next because there's all this stuff out here. Just like with the food, just like with the treatments. For everything, there's a thing for it and against it. And it depends on when it comes up in your feed. It depends on how you search. It depends on how you type it into ChatGPT. And so it's hard to know, to really know. Right? And so I try to not just have patience, but have empathy for people who are genuinely unsure. But you saw it. You saw it in COVID. People were yelling to the rooftops, I'm not wearing a mask, I'm not doing this. Look, live your life. But then at the third cough, they did go to the people who told them to do all that stuff. And I'm just saying, like, I don't know, if you trust them now, you trust them when it's bad, why not trust them a little early? You know what I mean? And I just want to make it clear, like, my big gripe with RFK Jr. is that he doesn't have these debates and he doesn't have these knockdown, drag-out fights and arguments about the science and about where he's coming from and how he has his logic and how he came to these conclusions with experts who are well-versed in the science and in the medicine. It's always done in like a podcasty type of way. And now that people's real lives are at stake, I just think that's unacceptable. Like, I don't know how we're so willing to give this much. Like, I know we're not, but just, I don't know, when you look back and you compare it as a country, Michelle Obama was like, just eat the apple. Like, it'll help.
Mira.